Right, okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We'll carry on now. Second session. So I was talking about reading reading Salah at school. Yeah, the next section and the next question is who should be the Imam? The answer is it should be the person who is the most learned in terms of the rulings of Salah. So if there are two people who possess the same amount of knowledge, then it should be the person who knows how to read the Quran Kareem with the correct rules of recitation, not necessarily the person who knows the most Quran. Then again, if you have two people who possess the same knowledge, it will be the person who is the most pious. Another question is if there are no baligh children in the Jama'ah, no mature children, then can a non-mature individual lead Salah? The answer is that the Salah of a non-mature child is not obligatory. Therefore, making them Imam would not be permissible. It would not be permissible for them to lead. It can be used as a learning method, maybe for, as practice purposes. Until they're baligh, their imamat will not be acceptable. Can a non-baligh child perform the iqamah if other baligh children are present? The answer is the iqamah will be done, but it is recommended that a mature child perform it. However, if it's for educating them, there's no harm in it. It is always good to get our younger children involved and to get them to build their confidence from an early age. Another question posed many times is, I joined in a salah which was being led by a non-baligh child. Is my salah valid? The answer is, if you are baligh, you can only read your salah behind another baligh, mature person, and the salah would have to be repeated. So, these are scenarios which can take place at school. You need to be mindful that you're not praying salah behind a non-mature individual. Another question that might come up is that the children sometimes children say that we don't have enough space to pray in school. Now the problem is that schools and academies, they're not obliged to provide prayer spaces. However, upon request, many schools, if the request is put there, I'm sure they would sort something out. A private area, some kind of classroom, maybe. Could be a meeting room, could be a classroom, or even a first aid room. And if that doesn't work, then the child should find some kind of private area where Salah can be read. Maybe, I don't know if they study RE or RS at school, they may have a Muslim teacher, or approach a Muslim teacher and tell them the circumstances. They may allow you to pray Salah in a private area. And if a child has problems even finding a private space, then the next alternative could be to get a group of like-minded students together and formally ask the school, for a private space with the help of their parents and local school governors. And inshallah, when there's demand from governors and parents, the space will be provided, inshallah. Another question that arises is, we have a small break for lunch and there are lots of people waiting to read. So should we read our whole salah? Or in other words, meaning the farz, nafal and sunnah, what should we do? So the answer is, if there's limited space, then one should just read the farz namaz and make space for other people to pray their farz also, okay? And if there's still time, then sunnah and nawafil and sunnah and optional prayers can be prayed later on. And if there are sisters or girls who also share the room, then we need to be mindful to make sure that only pray the farz and then leave the room and don't waste time sitting in the room. And if there is a prayer room available, it would be advisable that there's a barrier between the girls and the boys. Or another option could be that you have separate time slots so that so boys and girls are not disturbing each other. Another alternative could also be that if the prayer space is being shared, then a notice could be put outside saying that sisters praying at the moment or men are praying at the moment. And then in them circumstances, the boys and the girls could be mindful of each other's presence inside the room. I have a question here. Is it a sin or your prayer isn't accepted if you let someone lead, even if you're the one who knows more about the rulings and more suited to lead? I think, like I mentioned before, the most suited person to lead the salah is a person who knows more about the rulings and their recitation is more accurate. Because sometimes if a person's recitation is not accurate, then it can lead to the salah being broken because sometimes the meaning changes. So I think what I would first of all do is look at a person whose recitation skills are more accurate, and then at the same time also have knowledge of leading skills. Okay. Okay, some more questions. Can we still read salah if we can see small specks on underwear? I'm not sure what they are. So the answer to that is yes, as long as the combined area of the impure specks do not exceed the size of 1 dirham. And I will explain soon, that that's equivalent to about a 50 pence coin. If it's less than that, then you're still allowed to pray salah, because sometimes, if you're at school, college, or in the workplace, you can have issues of doing istinja properly. Another question is, do I need to change my underwear or remove them if I have specks on them? The answer is, if it were possible to change them or remove them, then it would be ideal. However, like I mentioned before, if it's less, the specks are less than 50 pence coin, then you're still allowed to pray salah. Then in that situation, you could go home and then clean yourself properly and then get ready for the next salah. Another question is, can I wash the specks by wiping over them a few times with wet tissue? The answer to that is the correct method of attaining cleanness should be washing the garment 3 times or washing the area 3 times. Just by wiping over them, that won't be sufficient. Another question, after I do istinja, I keep on leaking, especially in salah. When I go down into ruku or sajda, I can feel some slight drops of urine coming out. What do I do? Some people do have this issue where after passing urines, drops of urine still come out of the organ. What we've got to understand is a male organ is like a tap. When you close a tap, sometimes drops still come out. So this can happen to some men, mainly men and boys. So what could be a solution to that? So first of all, it could be a medical condition. If this occurs so often, and it happens between each salah, then a person will be classified as a mazur. Now, mazur has different rulings, which we'll cover in a few weeks' time, very soon, inshallah. Another reason why this could happen is there's too much pressure on the bladder while going into ruku and sajda. So a person should ensure that the trousers he or she is wearing is not too tight, or the belt is not tied so tightly to make this happen. And also what a person could do is, in them circumstances, they could wrap around, um, a tissue, wrap a tissue around the organ. So any drops that come out could go into the tissue. And when it's time for namaz, they could kind of wash themselves and then dispose of the tissue and pray salah after wuzu, obviously. Another common question is, if I only had tissue to clean myself, can I read salah? So the answer is, if the impurity has not spread on the body more than the size of 150 pence coin, then using tissue or toilet paper would suffice without washing. And obviously, this should only be done if water is not available. And if the impurity has spread more than the 50 pence coin, then merely using tissue paper would not be sufficient. What a person could do in them circumstances is maybe wet the tissue paper so much that if you were to squeeze the tissue paper, flowing water would come out of the tissue paper, and then you can wash your organ with the water that is flowing from the tissue. Another question is, can I perform salah in uniform? There's no harm in reading salah in a shirt and trousers or any uniform, as long as it's clean. But the main condition there is making sure that the satar and the private parts are covered properly. For a man, the private parts, and for a boy, the private parts are from the navel to the knee. So just to summarize, we've had some long sessions. We've done this for 2 weeks now. I'm ending it here. So just to summarize, we've learned why hygiene is important in Islam, the age and time of when a person becomes mature, how to perform istinja properly, what hair to remove and how to remove it. We've discussed the farais and sunnah of ghusl. We've discussed the farais, the obligatory acts and sunnah of wuzu, how to perform masa over the socks, and also some issues regarding young people in the school and workplace. And there are books out there which you would find much more detailed regarding these issues. Okay, so I'm going to end the session there, but just to finish off, tonight, or according to some people tonight, according to some people on Monday night, is a night of Shabi Barat, which means the night of the night of, it's kind of the night of power, it's kind of the night of repentance. It's advisable that a person does as much worship as they can. There are certain du'as that have been mentioned in the hadith. Do plenty of zikr, do plenty of tilawat. If a person can read salatul tasbih, then perform salatul tasbih. And also, please make dua for me as well. And the month of Ramzan is approaching very fast. Inshallah, what we will be doing is, because there's 2 weeks left for Ramzan, so my plan is that I will do 2 sessions, 2 Sundays just before Ramzan on the rulings of Ramadan, inshallah. So that's going to be the next 2 sessions. Most likely in Ramzan, no sessions will take place, but I will confirm that through a text message, inshallah. So just